starting college, and 3 other girls, one is running around here somewhere, and 2 teenage daughters at home. I've lived abroad and lived in many diverse communities, and I'm really blessed to call Thiensville my home. And 2 years ago, I didn't even know the names of the people that were on our school board. I wasn't really involved in local politics, and I didn't know how much it mattered until the pandemic and COVID and the shutdowns. Once I started to attend board meetings and learn more and ask questions, I realized that the system was very broken. And I realized how little I mattered as a parent in this complex system. And though I believed we had local control over our schools and our community, I found out, unfortunately, that I was wrong. And that's something that I would like to see changed. These are our schools, these are our kids, and we need to take them back.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you how my story began. My mother was 14 years old when she had me. She was a Puerto Rican teen with an 8th grade education. My first crib was a dresser drawer. We were very poor, and as a baby, my dad was a troubled teen, my grandmother a single mom. He was intelligent but very angry, and he spent more time in juvie than he did with my mom and I. Luckily, a Milwaukee judge eventually let my dad make the choice of jail or the U.S. Marines, and he chose the Marines, and he turned his entire life around. My mom had 3 more kids by the time she was 18 years old. We couldn't afford a car until I was 10. My father took a second job cleaning toilets while my mom waitressed at night just to move us out of MPS years ago. I remember summer nights when my parents would drive us around this area, North Shore, at dusk. Motown playing in the background. My dad used to call like Whitefish Bay, White Man's Bay. And we would, as kids, just squeal with delight, looking at all these homes and all the people walking around, and they were safe and they weren't worried about the things that I had to worry about where I lived. They couldn't put their fingers in the bullet holes in the walls of their bedroom like I did. My dad would say, if you study hard and if you work hard, Scarlett, you go to college, you'll be able to live here too one day. And now I do. And here's why. I worked hard. I studied hard. I made responsible decisions more times than I made dumb ones. My parents were strict, they were tough, but they loved us more than anything. I met people who helped me, not because they had something to gain, but because they were good people who saw something in me, even when I couldn't see it in myself. Most pivotal for me, I was born in the United States of America to parents who loved this country. I was raised to believe that this was the land of opportunity for anyone, even a desperately poor, brown-skinned girl with hand-me-down clothes that she got from the Goodwill. I was fortunate to be spared the life-sapping message of critical race theory, that same lens that is being used all in K-12 education all over this country and in this district as well. That these theories, these trends, they openly reject the liberal principles of Western democracy. Those principles are the antidote to mediocrity and poverty. And as a person that came from poverty, I am especially offended by the message that is being sent to kids of color. Kids learn optimism as easily as they learn victimhood. And I knew early on that you can start off with every advantage and waste all of them, and start with nothing and become a success. Here in the Thiensville School District, we have every advantage. And for years, we have been wasting them. The rhetoric is for each child empowered to succeed, but the reality falls short. Our district has handcuffed itself to a system that limits and denies a student's proven needs. Direct instruction, smaller classes, differentiated learning, specialized classrooms, specialized direct instruction, not co-serve to co-learn, and a rigorous curriculum that isn't rooted in an ideological agenda determined to fundamentally transform and dismantle America's systems. The coalition, which supports Paul and his little brother-in-law, Jason, thinks that my saying this makes me an enemy of public education, and that they applaud equity. And Paul takes credit for the implementation of the very policies which have brought our district nothing but decline. But as usual, they are wrong. Acknowledging this truth just shows how much I care about public education. And it only makes me an enemy of those who are too blind to see that the current trends are harmful, as they see our children as nothing more than vessels for radical change. I am not a threat to this public school system. I am only a threat to incompetent ideologues and grifters disguised as nonpartisan supporters of public education. A board member is the voice for students, for parents, for taxpayers, even for teachers. They are not meant to be the cheerleaders for highly paid administrators, the consultant class, and Wisconsin DPI educrats. Today, parents are sending a clear message. They don't co-parent with school districts. They want to be partners with teachers and school administrators. And if elected, I believe it is my job to affirm the authority that should naturally exist between parent, child, and school. Parents aren't bystanders in their kids' lives. A serious parent consults with professionals. They read materials, they ask questions, and they seek advice. But in the end, parents are the subject matter experts of their children. And as I said before, the only 3 letters I need after my name to make me the qualified expert of my family is MOM. Taxpayers and parents do not need PhDs in education in order to demand transparency and accountability from the public institutions that they fund. The truth is this: we have a top-down system that isn't functioning optimally. And it is not a coincidence that those who are responsible for the decline in Mecklenburg-Thiensville are the regime's fiercest defenders. Tolerance of diverse opinion is not a virtue the current leadership possess. They are much more comfortable in their echo chamber, and that is where they plan to stay, so don't let them. We have 6 members who act in unison. There's no diversity of thought. If we had more diversity viewpoints, perhaps stakeholders would understand that the academic decline predates the pandemic. Then they would conclude that MTSD, if we had been better positioned before COVID, we would be better positioned now as we transition to normalcy. Our teachers need support. They need leaders who truly listen. Luckily, of late, I have been in contact with many teachers in this district that currently work in the district, former teachers, and teachers in other nearby North Shore districts. And they have told me that good teachers are leaving because they are micromanaged. They feel that they have lost autonomy and trust. In our district, class sizes need to be smaller. The ability to control classrooms needs to be restored to the teachers, the boots on the ground. Teachers need more aides and paraprofessionals, not an influx of pseudo-administrators, consultants, and equity coaches. Administrative middle managers have proven unnecessary and counterproductive. They need qualified staff to provide hands-on help. When my son graduated, our district was the most competitive in the country. I watched as a district that once engaged with parents, supported teachers, encouraged viewpoint diversity, and had leadership that put students first and had academic excellence as a top priority, become one that is hardly recognizable from its former glory. This makes me very sad. And if you talk to parents that have been in this district for a long period of time, they will confirm these facts. Our academic achievement numbers are down across the board. You can see in my flyers all the numbers. We've been posting these for months. As our spending goes up, our testing scores go down, as does our enrollment. Parents are fleeing our public schools in record numbers. Mequon Thiensville lost 263 students in just the last 2 years. Yet our leadership says, nothing to see here. The establishment and the PAC which supports them display the same smugness which has become the primary behavioral tick of many, if not all, on the progressive left. Our school board acts as if they own the schools. And you little mommies should just pipe down if you want to say in your child's education. You know, they tell us, homeschool, leave the district, all the time. And that's not fair and it's not right. If you feel common sense is under attack, that's because it is. If you feel less free to speak, that's because you are. Now is the time to do something about it, and we were made for such a time as this. You will, each of you, have the chance to matter. You will see things that happen that you know to be wrong, where you find that the standard line is actually a lie. If you're listening to me right now, you have probably found yourself there already, like I have. And when that happens to you, don't just sit there. Listen, learn, and act. I've lived a very unique and diverse life, and when I look back on it, it occurs to me that the decisions of which I am most proud are not the times when I looked the other way. Those are my most regrettable moments. My wish for all of you is that you overcome the overwhelming sense of fear and doubt that will set in when you make the choice to use your voice. And to instead just charge ahead and say to yourself and to the world, come what may. Those are the moments of magic. Those are the moments that you can literally feel the exquisite joy of not being anyone's subject, the unmistakable sense that you exist for a purpose. At the end of the day, I just want to take the chance of leaving the world better than I found it. And I think deep down you all feel the same way. But you don't get any of that magic or that sense of purpose by doing what a coalition of bullies tell you to do. So speak the truth publicly, with care, with clarity, and with dignity. Tell others what you know, and vote. Vote tomorrow. You can still vote early, or vote Tuesday. Vote for me, Scarlett Johnson, and give common sense a fighting chance.